All right, part one. Back when I was 7 years old, I used to go to this school called Wins in Austin, Texas. And I stayed on this street called Purpose Age. There was a kid on that road that looked just like me. He just had longer hair. I mean, we were the same color complexion and everything. He was bad though. This boy, he was bad. Oh my goodness, he used to do a lot of crazy things. He used to put houses on fire, cars on fire, trees on fire. He was just bad. And every now and then I see him because he was always getting in trouble. He was always getting placed in some type of juvenile or whatever. But he was 1 year older than me. I was 7 years old. He was a year older than me. But everybody was tripping because they thought we was brothers because we looked just alike. He just had longer hair. And he came from a single parent house. His dad was dead. His mother, she was weird. I think she was prostituting. I couldn't really tell. I mean, I could tell, but I didn't really understand. All I knew that she had a lot of boyfriends. Every time I went over to his house, there was different guys. Not every time I went over there. When there wasn't a guy there, it was just her. But I've seen so many different guys that I seen this mother kiss and be intimate with. Like she's sitting on these guys' laps. I mean, with so many guys, and I never asked him. I never asked Quan like, yo, is that your mama boyfriend? You know what I'm saying? I at first when I the first guy I thought I saw was his dad. I thought it was his dad, but I asked him and then he just said it just real. He said it like, no, my dad dead. I'm like, oh, what happened? And he said he was shot. He was shot by the cops. He was shot and killed. That's all he knew. Later on, I found out his dad was robbing the bank. His dad was a robber. His dad was going around robbing banks and support one of his drug habits. And he ended up getting shot one time and killed, shot and killed. But anyhow, me and Quan, we became real close. But then when my mom and my dad, when they got you know, into the drugs, things kind of went downhill for us. It was me, my brother, and my sister, and things just kind of went downhill. But we had great Christmases. I mean, we had some nice Christmases. And my dad, he was a security guard, and he used to come home almost every night with some Skittles. So we used to wait up at nighttime for my dad to come home to bring some Skittles. And one time he came home and he didn't have no Skittles. And we was looking at him and like, hey, Dad, it's like, it's a school day. It's probably like 12 o'clock. And we're like, Daddy, where the Skittles? We tell him, Dad, we hungry. And he was like, well, go to bed and have a dream and dream about some Skittles. Something like that. He said, go dream about it. If you want some Skittles, go dream about some Skittles. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, dang, that's cold. Told us to go to bed and get ready for school. But yeah, but when I didn't even know my mom and my dad was on drugs. But I do remember this time my mama claimed that she didn't do this, but I was 7 years old and I remember this. And I had called my grandmother and I asked her, and she was like, she remembered this, but my mom claimed she didn't do it. But what I'm saying was she did. My mama shot at my dad. They got it. My mom and my dad used to always argue. And one day, my mom and my dad was arguing, and then I was in the room and I heard like a big thumbling sound. My dad was running. He was running out of the room, and he ran out of the room. He ran out the house, and after he ran out the house, my mama came right behind him and started shooting. She claimed that she didn't do that. However, my dad had a Camaro. He had bullet holes in his steering, not his windshield, his front windows. He had bullet holes in it. He drove out and he drove his car to Giddings. We was in Austin. He drove his car in Giddings, and when he picked me up, he had parked his Camaro in the Giddings barn, and he showed me the bullet hole. He said, "You see what your mama tried to do? She tried to kill me." You know what I mean? But Yeah, and I was asking my sister, do she remember? She like, I don't remember. But like I said, I asked my grandmother, she remembered. And it was like crazy because I remember that stuff. And I remember a lot of stuff when I was a kid. I remember a lot of stuff. But anyhow, when my mom and my dad broke apart, things just went downhill. We just started moving everywhere. We couldn't stay stable. And it was crazy because I really, I was happy that my dad wasn't around most of the time because he was the disciplinarian. He was always like the one that we feared. So when he wasn't around, we feel like we can get away with a lot of stuff. But then, I didn't realize the impact it had on our life. And then my mom really, really started running the streets. And I remember one time my mama, she'll leave and not come home for a long time. And then, I don't know what it was when she started picking us up, but she picked us up and took us over into this area where she was doing the drugs at. And I remember one time I was probably like 7, 8 years old, and I was looking for my mom inside the house that she was in, and I found my mama with a needle sticking out her arm. She was just dosed up, man. And it's like I never forget that scene. It was nighttime, and me and my sister and brother, we was out in the park swinging, and I don't even recall even telling my mom. I mean, my brother and sister. I probably did. I thought she was dead, but she was like mumbling and stuff. And that's kind of hard for a child to see. And I saw that. It's like, dang. You know what I mean? I didn't understand what it was that I was seeing. It was tough. My mom, she was just, it was crazy. And my dad, he'll pop up. And when he pop up, him and my mom get into it again. Then my dad go on his way, and he'll spend some time with us. Then he'll roll out. You know what I mean? It was crazy because our life from the age of 7 all the way up, my mom and dad was not together, and our life was just crazy. So anyhow, we end up we end up moving we end up moving to Houston, and my mama had a boyfriend. I'm skipping a lot of parts, but I'm just skipping some most important to where the juice at, where the meat at of the story. But my mama had met a dude named we call him let's call this man, we're gonna call him Tyson. He was a tall dude, and Tyson, he had his blue truck. He was a pretty good fella to us. He had a computer. It was the first time I ever played on a computer. He was giving us games. He had this remote control when me and my brother him was to play. He was really overprotective with this remote control, but we didn't. We was real careful with it and stuff. But he was pretty a good, decent guy. Then him and my mom got a place where they had extra room for us, and in the meantime, me and my sister was going to the store stealing. We was stealing out of the store, and we was probably like 12 or 13. We was stealing out of the store, and the way I was stealing it was really clever. What I used to do is I used to get like candy, and when I had this big coat, and I grab the candy and I slide the candy inside my coat sleeve. So I ain't, what I'm saying, I'll cover the candy, and I was really slick with it. It was a big coat. I was really, really good at it. And every morning I used to go, before I went to school, I used to go inside this store. I was in Houston, Texas at this time. And I used to go inside this store, and I used to steal a bunch of candy, and I go to school and I sell it. I just sell it. And I was making my own little money selling and stuff. And so I tried to put my brother on the game, but I didn't tell him how I was stealing. You know what I mean? I kept that to myself. I probably should have gave him the game, but I would just told him, you know what I mean? just. But anyhow, so I was my brother got caught, and when a woman was searching my brother and she found it, I just volunteered and said, "You want to check me?" And so she started patting me down, but she didn't pat my arm sleeves down. And she said, "You probably didn't have time to steal anything," not knowing I had Butterfingers, Snicker bars, I had all of that stuff on in my sleeve. And so she told us, next time we come in the store without any money, she gonna call the cops, right? And so we got out, and we all thought we was popped. My sister didn't get to have time to steal anything, so we walking back to the house, and we thought that, well, they thought that we left the store without anything, and I just start pulling candy out of my sleeve, and they looking at me like, "Oh, like, yeah, I got us. Don't worry about it. I got us. I got us." I was a little. My mom used to call me a crook, a little crook, but I got us, and so anyhow, we end up going back to the store. We let some days die out, and we went back to the store. When we go back to the store, we don't have no money, and the store will stay crowded because they had these arcades. They already had these arcades in it where people used to go in there and be playing Street Fighter. They were playing something, but it was always packed because it was guys going there. Older guys too. They go in there and play it, Pac-Man and stuff like that. And they be playing it. So one day we go in there because I told my sister and brother it's best if we go in there when the crowd is there, so they don't even have the people that work there don't even have time to keep eyes on everybody. You know what I mean? So I said, let's go where it's crowded. You know what I'm saying? So they can't watch everybody, I was telling us. We were going there, but I guess we was hot. We was hot. They knew our faces. So we going in there, and it's crowded. It's really crowded. When we go in there, the woman that once busted my brother, well, it probably was another one. No, it was another woman, but they all knew us. We was like, they probably had our pictures posted on the walls as wanted. Watch out for these little crooks. Cause my sister, she's older than me. She's 1 year. She's 17 months older than me. But every time I turn 1 year, I'm like 1 year behind her. We're gonna call her old lady. Old lady, she was, what I'm saying, she was real dark. She was real dark skinned. And my brother, he was the youngest one, And anyway, so we go inside the store when it's crowded, and, we own one, you know what I mean? And so I do my little thing. I get a bunch of candy and stuff like that. And did I get some candy? No. I didn't get no candy this time. I didn't even make my time because as soon as we walked in there, the woman was on us like white on rice. And she gathered us all together. We probably was in the store for like 2 minutes. And she gathered me, my sister, my brother, and she got, come here. She like, come here, get over here. And then she said, if y'all don't have no money, I'm calling the police right now. And then my brother pulled out a $20 bill. He said, we got some money. And me and my sister look at my little brother. Now my little brother, he's see, I was 12, 13. My brother was born 3 years, so he was 12, 11, 10, 9. He was probably like 9 years old. So he pulled out a $20 bill. Me and my sister look at him like where the hell you get that money from? So the one with, oh, y'all got money, okay. And so we're like, yeah, we got money. You know what I'm saying? We're like, yeah, we got money. We ain't here to steal, bragging like, damn, like, well, where you get that money from? And so we used the $20 to buy some stuff. When we get out of the store, me and my sister and my little brother, let's call my brother Pumpkin. We go out the store and we like, yo, Pumpkin, where you get that $20 from? He said, I seen it, I found it on the floor around all them guys. I seen it, I quickly went over there and picked it up and I walked away. They're like, oh yeah, like damn, he didn't got the older guy's money. Somebody didn't drop the $20 bill, so that saved us. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna end the story with that one.